Greetings, fabulous staff, and welcome to our December 13th, 2016 flipped staff meeting. For today's meeting, we will go over housekeeping. Within that area, we have just a brief discussion about photo identification within the school, arrival procedures, upcoming dates, student attendance, team data meeting expectations. We have our in-house guru professional development that would be, that will be led by Ms. Filipowski and Ms. Jewell for the reading and writing workshop, and Mrs. Rivers for the Panther Paws referral, and then some holiday expectations. Within housekeeping, with our photo IDs, according to Regulation 501.06-1, and quoted on our page 28 of our staff handbook, we are to wear our Prince William County badges at all times. I am asking that you wear your badge above your waist so that it is visible. If you would like to refer to it in your staff handbook, it is on page 28. Excuse me, and it states all staff members must wear their PWCS photo ID while at work. If your ID should be damaged, lost, or stolen, inform me immediately. You will need to sign in using the Raptor in the front office to obtain a visitor's badge until your new badge arrives, or if you left it at home, you every single day need to have either your Prince William County badge on your person or a visitor's badge from the Raptor on your person. Also, the arrival procedure. So we all know that the hours as far as our contract time has changed. However, you are to be accountable and responsible for that time. Teachers are required to be here at the workplace at 8:45, standing outside your classroom doors. This does not mean that at 8:45 you are walking through the front office or a back door or a side door, but at your classroom door at 8:45 to greet the students who are walking down the hallway at that time. If you are a staff member with a duty post, you are required to be at your post at 8:45 in the morning. 8:45 is not an arrival time, you guys. It's when the actual workday begins. So thank you so very much to adhering to this concern. Our upcoming dates this week include on Monday, I will begin our formal observations of our probationary teachers. Excuse me, I am quite excited about this because I get the opportunity to work hand in hand with our probationary teachers, and good to see some great instruction take place. On Tuesday, we have the end of our second interim period, and we have our staff post meeting at 4 p.m. in the library, as well as our winter festival, our very first winter concert for grades K2 for this 2016-17 school year. On Wednesday, we have our Chick-fil-A family night. This is the Chick-fil-A that's on the corner of Prince William Parkway and Old Bridge. On Thursday, we have our second concert, which is our winter festival for grades 3 through 5. On Friday, holiday parties will begin. I believe first grade is our first grade level that will be holding their holiday parties that Friday. Other grade levels have chosen to do holiday parties on a Wednesday, so please make sure you take a look at the calendar as the week progresses. With student attendance, I've I've had several conversations in regards to student attendance, and at my principal meeting on Monday, we were presented information on the attendance regulation and received some information about the attendance law. Here at Bel Air, we have met and exceeded the strategic goal for attendance within Prince William County that's set by Dr. Waltz in his strategic plan. However, we do have some students that have been identified as having excessive absences. So, at this meeting, our council, Ms. McGowan, just shared a little bit about the law and the attendance regulation. One of the biggest things that stood out is about tardies and early dismissals. So within the attendance law in Virginia, there's no specificity, excuse me, no specific type of information regarding early dismissals and tardies. The law just states that parents must send their children to school. It doesn't say when and it doesn't say for how long during the school day. So if a parent comes in and they're consistently or habitually late or tardy, we really can't enforce anything. They are sending their child to school. If they are consistently taking their child out for early dismissals, we really can't enforce anything because they brought their child to school. So this is where we come in as that home school partnership. The importance of it is communicating with the parents, encouraging them to, when they come to check their kids out, like just about the impact that it's having it excuse me, on their child in the classroom. So as a classroom teacher, you are the first line of communication. So if a parent is consistently taking their child out or bringing their child late, I strongly encourage you to contact the parent and speak specifically about that impact educationally, emotionally, how when students come in late, they miss the routines and it takes time for them to catch up and make that transition. Also, if they leave early, the impact on their academics, if they were missing the same subject over and over and over again. Some parents just really don't understand the impact. So I think communicating that with our parents would probably go a long way. Also, with school attendance, we are very much aware of how many absences a student has. This current school year, I've implemented, excuse me, alongside Ms. Ramos, an attendance plan. And so our county has an attendance plan, and it's all about documenting when students are absent and how we communicate those absences to the parent. So a student accrues a certain amount of absences, and there's a letter that's sent home to the parent that just restates the law and the expectation of their child being in school. Once it reaches for absences, it's either, excuse me, myself, Miss Catroni, or Miss Marshall will contact the parent via phone and talk with them about the absence and then encourage them via phone to ensure that their child is in school. After a certain amount of absences, they then are referred to our attendance officer, Mr. Carminetti. That process is brand new this school year. It's being fully implemented this school year. So I do ask for your patience. Once again, we already know how many students are absent or how many absences a student has accrued. We review attendance every single day, and then I receive a report on Fridays from Ms. Ramos. So this is a process that's going to take some time. However, we are all committed to making sure that our honey buns are here at school. So with the data reflections, excuse me, we are focusing on special education reading countywide. Our SOLs, our achievement, our continuous improvement is definitely in place. However, our county, you can see the discrepancy in the continued growth of the achievement gap. The gap is getting wider, and especially with our special education students in the areas of reading here at Bel Air. When we do our team data reflection sheets, I am asking that the information where it says what instructional methods were most or least successful for those identified subgroups, I really need for you to document from this day forward about special education students and our ESOL students. I need you to specifically identify those students as well when it states students that did not meet the benchmark. I want you to put the student's first name, but then identify whether or not they're SPAD or they're ESOL. Excuse me. And then any type of additional discussion items, remediation, things like that needs to be documented, especially for how are we responding to the academic achievement and continuous improvement of our special education students in the area of reading and also in math. So this is something new. I know that once we are able to meet face to face and in person, when we have an in-person staff meeting, we will be able to have staff come and share their wisdom. And so this is our first in-house guru professional development here in our flipped staff meetings. And this is a quote. I really enjoy John Maxwell's books on leadership. And so leaders become great, not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. And so I want to definitely be a leader. Our very first in-house guru staff development is coming from Miss Filipowski and Miss Jewel. They will speak about the reading and writing workshop and how it works in fourth grade.
For reading workshop, fourth grade decided to set up a schedule with routines and expectations at the beginning of the year. We introduce read to self time first. We do real reading versus fake reading, and we have volunteers come up and demonstrate and practice with a timer as a whole class after the demonstrations. It's really important to have uninterrupted read to self time so they can work on their stamina. When we use the timer, we usually set a goal and we have a reward system where it could just be as simple as extra recess. And the students keep reading, and if they have any type of interruption, we stop the timer and you set a goal so that they have to reach a certain amount of time without any interruptions. After we introduce read to self time and practice, we practice that every day. We introduce the mini lesson and the expectations. The mini lesson usually runs from 20 to 25 minutes on the carpet with the reader's notebook or some sort of an interactive activity for notes. And then after the mini lesson, after that is practice, we introduce each part of the workshop one at a time over a few weeks. So that's why at the beginning of the year is the perfect time to introduce this, because you have that extra time. Week 1 is usually practice of independent work and what it should look like and sound like. We model everything. So we practice what it should look like without any interruptions. Then we slowly add in the different centers of the workshop. So we have word work expectations. We do reader's response, which are boxes or conference goals. We model each of these, as I stated before. We add in writing, and then the whole workshop comes last. And it's very important that you practice being unavailable to the students during groups, because they have to realize that when you are with a group, you should not be interrupted. That group gets your undivided attention. We have a system in my classroom and Bree's classroom where we use a clipboard, and we have clips that the students clip on the clipboard while we're in group if they have a question. And then while we are in transition to different groups, we go to the clipboard and we see what number is on the clipboard, and we go and address the question, just so they know that if it's a question that they have that we should be helping them with, that we can come back to them after the group is over. We also do class dojo, so we reward as much as possible while you are going through the routines, just to encourage that positive behavior. Okay, so let's go into a little bit more detail of the mini lesson. We usually do our mini lesson for 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes. We will use an anchor chart or an interactive read aloud to focus on the standard for the week. Sometimes we have the students copy it into it. Sometimes it's just whole group. We do Monday as a long day where the students are really focused on that strand, and we hit the skill really hard, and we get like a deeper understanding of the skill, doing collaborative work and having the kids turn and talk, and so that you can really focus on what that is that they're going to be working on for the rest of the week. Wednesday's mini lesson, we have started this year to really incorporate writing more often. So we do a strictly writing mini lesson on Wednesdays. and then it's extended into the workshop for the rest of the week. Friday's mini lesson is special as well because we have a quick check that the students will work on. During the read to self time, which is right after the mini lesson, as I said before, it is very important that they are having uninterrupted time every single day to practice reading to self to build their stamina. We listed some of the expectations underneath. This is what the student should be doing. They can work on their reading goal or on their bingo board or in the box. During the reading conferences is when they will get their bingo boards. And we started this year to have the students be held more accountable for their reading. They set their own goal and and they will work on it until they have accomplished it. So you'll check in with them to make sure they've accomplished their goal. They can jot down while they're reading and then complete the goal afterwards, or they can do it as they are reading. During read to self time, the teacher should be pulling students for their conference goals. So you use the CSA target skills for each student, and you go through and you see what they need to work on, and you set a goal with that student. They get to pick which goal they want to work on, and we use the bingo board so they have a concrete goal in front of them so that they can really focus their reading. You should be meeting with students during the read to self time to check in with them to make sure that they are doing their conference goal, and then if they finish it, you can start a new one. After read to self time, that's when we go into our guided reading groups and our strategy groups. All teachers have either a strategy group from 2:45 to 3:05 or a reading group from 2:45 to 3:05 and then again from 3:05 to 3:25. It depends on what level you're working with and whether or not you have a guided reading group first or a strategy group first. The students who are double dipped will focus only on their conference goal as part of their workshop. While you're with reading groups, the other students will be working on the workshop. So they will be doing independent work and choosing workshop tasks to start, and then they check off the items as they complete them. They hold on to things if you want them to, or they can turn them in by Friday. Strategy groups are different for each student depending on what the skill is that they need. You again use the CSAs as the data that you're going to use to check in with them. Okay, so let's take a look at the workshop tasks. We do independent work for the students, which is some sort of a practice from a previously learned skill. The students should continue to focus on skills that they have learned just to make sure that they keep them strong. The word work each week is either context clues or a word study packet where we focus on homophones, synonyms, antonyms, and the students do activities with these words, and we encourage them to use these words again in their writing. Boxes is a reader's response. They can do either the boxes or the conference goal in their reader's notebook, and it will be checked by the end of the week. Writing is based off of the standard that we were working on or something that's continued throughout each week. And then when all tasks are finished, they can do the can-do options. And those can look different in every classroom. Some examples, reading to a buddy, there's some board game activities, there can be center work, folder games. So these are some of the workshop tasks that we have them complete. Everyone's accountability checklist can look different. This is a sample from Bree. She has her students actually write down when they have completed an activity, and she has them keep it with them, and they will turn it in with their work, or they can just use it as a checklist just for them. Everybody's checklist could look different in the sense of the double dip students, because some of them are not going to complete everything on the checklist. They are only going to be responsible for their conference goal. They won't have time to complete everything else because they're not in the classroom for as long as other students are during the workshop time. This is what I use in my classroom. I put this up on the board and the students use this as a checklist. I have the must-dos that they have to finish by the end of the week, and it has been working so far, where the students are looking up at the board, making sure they get everything done. I received this document from Miss Ernie a couple years ago and then modified it to make it work for my classroom because I can show the must-dos and the can-dos. So once they finish the must-dos, they can move on to the can-dos. The groups are at the top so they know who's coming to me at what time, so they know which time slot they have left to work on their workshop.
Now, our Panther Paws referral update by Miss Katie Rivers.
Hi everyone. We want to revisit discipline as an area of instruction, just like we revisit language arts, math, science, and social studies throughout the school year. We need to remember that discipline is a tool to teach and reinforce and explain to students the behaviors that are acceptable and not acceptable. It's not a punishment. It is a way to set limits and to teach behavior intentionally. We need to make sure that our classroom structures and routines are consistent and effective and easy for the students to manage without interrupting our instruction. If we are trying to change some of the behaviors that are disrupting our instruction, we need to make sure we're doing 15 positive reinforcements for every time we're making a correction. That is a lot, so you really have to be intentional and purposeful when you're doing that. We also want to revisit our administrative consequence menu that is on the referral form. As we move into a new administration and a new school year, we want to move towards a more case-by-case basis where we can use administrator discretion and their interpersonal skills and their ability to teach behavior to make those moments more effective for students where we're actually really changing behavior. So we're not going to go strictly by that consequence menu any longer. We are also not going to be using that before and after school detention as a consequence at this point. We're going to go more with the lunch detention and maybe look at putting some meditation or some other tools there to make that more effective and help it to change behavior. Administration will be conscious of looking at students' previous PAW violations and referrals and will take that into consideration when they're meeting with the student. And we do want to re-emphasize that the administration should not be the first contact to a parent about a behavioral concern. If a student is struggling in your classroom with appropriate behavior, that's a contact you should have already made, and you should already be kind of talking to the parent about how you guys are going to address it together as a team to support the child.
Now, on to our holiday expectations. Please remain mindful of students and their behaviors at this time of the year. Excuse me. We know that this can be a time where people are extremely happy or extremely sad. And so I'm asking everyone to just take a temperature within their classroom on a daily basis and just, observe our students, make sure that they're doing all right. Our economy, different things within our communities. Some students just don't have the same things that we are afforded as professionals. So I ask that you just think about, be empathetic to certain situations. There are a lot of family stressors at the time of holidays. Some people don't have money. Some folks are losing their jobs. Some have family members that have passed away during this time. And there's just a lot of emotions, a lot of hustle and bustle. And sometimes we lose sight of just the emotional aspect of who we are as people. So I'm asking all of us to just be mindful of our tone when we interact with our students. We are all stressed. We are exhausted. However, we may be the only smile that they receive in the next couple of days. So when you see your students, greet them, praise them, tell them that you missed them. They're glad that they showed up to school today, and just be available to them. I was talking to some people at the grocery store the other night, and they were saying that the holiday season either brings out the best of us or brings out the worst of us. So we just really need to be mindful of the things that we do and the things that we say and how we say them to one another and to our students. And this is just also a reminder that not everyone celebrate holidays, so please be mindful of that as well, and be sensitive to that as well. So, excuse excuse me, with that in mind, you've heard me cough just a little during the presentation of our flip staff meeting. It is that time of the year. Bodies are breaking down, everyone's getting tired, frustrated, and this break is definitely coming right on time. So we have 8 days left together until we go on break. So I wanted to wish everyone happy holidays or just a great season. If you don't celebrate holidays, want to respectfully wish you just a nice break. May it be restful and enjoyable. May you be surrounded by family. I do want from my heart to yours, if you have lost family members this year, I do pray that your family, you and your family, can find some solace and find a great spirit to remember that loved one or loved ones, and just focus on the love that you guys have shared together. Everyone, hey, I will see you, of course, next week. But if you view this while we're over the break, I do ask you guys to have a fabulous time. Be safe, and I'll see you in the new year. With love, Antoinette.